purpose of this course is to provide you an overview of the lighting industry, where it came from, where it is, and most importantly, where it's going in the future. I'm going to give you some basic instruction on the most prevalent technologies out there, as well as some vocabulary terms that you'll be hearing on a pretty regular basis. There are 3 sections in this PowerPoint. The first one is called Lighting the First 100 Years. In this section, we're going to talk about the lighting industry that has existed since around 1879 and remained largely stagnant until the last few decades. I'm sure your first question is, why are you here? Well, the lighting industry is $2 trillion strong and is almost entirely unaffected by fluctuations in the economy. You got to eat and you got to see, so people always need to buy lights. Moreover, LED products represent a truly disruptive technology in that they will fundamentally change the way the lighting business operates. Currently, LED lights have less than 1% market penetration, meaning that the world has not really discovered the benefits associated with LEDs, although the buzz is rapidly increasing. We at
We are lights.
believe that there is a virtual tsunami of LED demand that will be unleashed over the next few years, and that our company is ideally positioned to take advantage of it. We hope to give you some insight into what we believe will be happening to the lighting industry over the next few years. And here we go. When we talk about LED being disruptive, we mean that it will fundamentally change the way business is done in the lighting industry. Why will LED cause such dramatic change? Because solid state lighting, that is the general category in which LEDs are included, has the capacity to cut our national electricity use by up to 25%. The U.S. Energy Information Administration estimates that in 2010, the U.S. consumed 507 billion kilowatt hours for lighting. 25% would equal a reduction of 127 billion kilowatt hours. That is disruptive. However, in order to realize those savings, 3 things have to happen. First, the products have to perform as promised. The specifications provided by the manufacturers must be measured and must be verified. Second, the consumer has to understand what's being offered and accept that value proposition. Third, and maybe most importantly for our purposes, you have to sell it. It won't do you any good if you convince a customer to purchase LED products, but they call our competitors. We have to have the right products, educate our customers, and close the deal. Hopefully, after viewing this training program, you will have some more tools to get that done. So let's get down to it. The training is split into a couple of different areas. First, we're going to very briefly go over light and electricity so you understand some basic concepts and vocabulary. Then we'll move into the different types of lighting products that are available today and which you'll have to convince your customers to abandon. We'll discuss both advantages and disadvantages so that you have something to compare our product offerings against. After that, we'll dig into LED lights and all of the various attributes that make them such an attractive option for consumers today. Finally, we'll look at some of the ancillary aspects of the sale, which we
We are lights.
like to highlight as it separates us from our competition. For example, we will discuss international standards associated with LED lighting, rebates and incentives that are available for certain customers, and lastly, the audit and the count, which is our methodology for assessing the client's current uses, as well as establishing for them the benefits of retrofitting their facility with products. Okay, away we go. Vince Lombardi used to start every training camp with the question, does everybody know what a ball looks like? And here we'll do the same thing. What is light? Well, light is really the fabric of life. As Einstein's E equals mc squared equation tells you, light is equal to energy, and thus, in this modern time when the flow of oil and energy dictate virtually every national policy and governmental action, light is very important. You may know that only 20% of the light spectrum is visible to the naked eye, and when we are measuring that light, there are 2 primary things to consider. How bright is the light at the source, and 2, how much light is falling on an object at a given distance. If the primary focus of our business is measuring light output and the energy that creates it, we need some terminology to use. The most basic measure of light is the foot candle. The simple definition of the foot candle is the amount of light a candle produces on an object 1 foot away. A simple application of this concept would be if you lit a birthday candle, held it 1 foot away, and sung happy birthday. The total amount of light that is created would equal approximately 1 foot candle. Another critical term you'll need to know is lumen. Lumen is essentially the metric equivalent of a foot candle, and it measures the amount of light that 1 foot candle creates spread over a 1 square foot area. Again, you can use the birthday candle idea, but this time hold a 1 square foot book 1 foot away while singing happy birthday, and that will equal 1 lumen. You should note that foot candles and lumens measure both the amount of light that is created at the source and the amount that falls on an object some distance away. There are a few other words you're going to be hearing over and over again as you talk to lighting professionals and customers seeking a lighting solution. Words such as radiance, illuminance, Kelvin, and light meter. Since I'm sure you can read these definitions as well as I can, you might want to press pause on your computer and take a few seconds to go over these words and make sure you understand the concepts. However, as important as the light emitted by our products is the energy that it takes to create the light. As this is not a course on electricity, we're just going to briefly review some terms that you might hear so you're familiar with them. We don't expect you to have an in-depth understanding of electricity, nor will it be of too much help to you while you're dealing with customers. But nevertheless, there are 3 basic terms of electricity that you should know. Voltage, which is measured by volts, current, which is measured by amps, and resistance, which is measured by ohms. Rather than trying to get all scientific on you, let's just relate these electrical terms to plumbing, which should make them easier to understand. Voltage is roughly equivalent to water pressure, or the force of water rushing through a pipe. Current is equal to the flow rate, or how fast the water is traveling. And resistance is like the pipe size. A smaller pipe will squeeze the water through at a faster rate. A larger pipe will allow the water to flow more easily. And that's about it for electricity. You probably can't pass a state test to become an electrician now, but the above terms are probably all you're going to need to sell LED lights. And while we're speaking of lights, let's talk about what products are out there. As you can see from the list, there are 6 primary types of lights that you will run across in your travels. First, there's the incandescent bulb, which has now been around for about 130 years. It's the bulb you've bought at the grocery store since you were a little kid. It works in every lamp in your house. It costs about $1, and it wastes untold amounts of energy. Fluorescent bulbs are the de facto standard in most office and commercial environments. When you're at the supermarket or any of the store at the mall, look up and you'll probably see fluorescent lights. Halogen lamps are a variation of fluorescent bulbs that burn hotter and brighter. CFLs, or compact fluorescent lights, are essentially fluorescent bulbs that have been radically decreased in size. While the media and government will tout CFLs as the preferred alternative for incandescents, as you will see in this training, they are not necessarily the preferable route. HID, or high-intensity discharge lamps, provide a large amount of light from a small source and are thus usually the preferred method for street lights, parking lots, or other areas that need large amounts of illumination. Finally, you have LEDs, which is probably what you came here for. While you may want to jump right into LEDs, it's imperative that you know what lights exist in the market today because those are the ones that your customer owns. If you're going to convince him that they're garbage and need immediate replacement with products, you need to know what you're talking about. So let's start at the beginning. I know we're duplicating the picture in the title here from before, but if we're going to talk about incandescent bulbs, you need to recall that incandescents are the ones that have been around forever. Incandescent bulbs are the most popular bulb in the world, and for a long time were the only bulb in the world. They work by passing electrical current through a filament, which heats up and incandesces, or glows. However, 90% of the energy used goes to creating heat, not light, thus resulting in massive energy waste. Therefore, the total lumens per watt of energy used is very low. When you're using a lot of energy to produce a little amount of light, as you'll see, there are much better alternatives out there. The incandescent product is also very brittle, resulting in a relatively short lifespan of 750 to 1500 hours. So even though the cost of the incandescent bulb is low, you're pretty much getting what you pay for. And what you're paying for is energy waste. I won't go through the math on this slide because presumably you also have a calculator, but the end result is what you need to know. It takes 714 pounds of coal to light a single 100-watt bulb for a year. Think about how much that is. How many light bulbs are in your house? 50, 100? If you have 100 bulbs, it's taking 71,400 pounds of coal out of the ground to keep your house lit up. Al Gore would clearly be ashamed of you. And this wasted energy does more than just deplete our resources. It causes massive pollution as well. Sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and carbon dioxide are just some of the byproducts of this inefficient use of energy. And even crazier, a coal plant, you may not know, emits more radiation than a properly functioning nuclear plant. If that doesn't make you or your customers find ways to reduce energy use, I don't know what will. In any event, because of these factors, many countries have begun to phase out incandescent bulbs, including the US, which maybe surprisingly lags behind other countries such as Brazil and Russia, which outlawed incandescents a long time ago. However, although the US did have legislation that was set to phase out incandescent bulbs starting in 2012, in late 2011, that legislation was suspended and the phase out has been halted in America. While you might think that this is bad for the LED industry, you'd actually be wrong. The reason Congress halted the phase-out was due to the enormous lobbying effort of the multinational lighting manufacturers like GE and Philips. These corporations put hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars into the infrastructure supporting the incandescent bulb, and in order for them to change their focus, they would have to spend billions more to convert to LED or other newer technologies. Large corporations don't like to spend billions on anything when they're already making billions with their current system, so they were able to convince Congress to stop the legislation that was going to save energy, save money, and possibly save the world. Makes you wonder who those guys are representing, huh? Nevertheless, for our purposes, it's a good thing because if the multinationals are not heavily invested in the LED business, they're not competing with us. The less competition we have, the better it is. So while the environment may not be happy with the congressional decision, it's definitely good for us. And with that, we conclude section 1 of our training today.